Yo, Beth, that shit crazy.
All Even Podcast Special Edition, Creators Interview. Looking forward to this one. It's going to be a good one. Coach to get in here. What's up, Coach?
What's up, brother? How you doing?
I'm good, man. So, thank you for coming on the show, man. Welcome to the All Even Podcast Special Creators Edition interview.
Thank you for having me. I
Of
appreciate it.
course, man. I admire what you do. You know what I'm saying? So, I wanna get into your story because, it's a pretty interesting story. You know what I'm saying? Like, how did this all start? Because, I've read a couple articles, a couple interviews that you did. Like, how did this all begin?
Yeah, man. So, based in PG County, Prince George's County, Maryland, a lot of talents come out of this area, from, Kevin Durant, Vick Oladipo, Stephon
Sure.
Diggs from Maryland. John Johnson, who plays for the best team in the NFL, the Cleveland Browns. You know what I mean? He's from PG County. So played sports, my entire life, played football, and like most people, had the dream of going to the NFL, had the dream of playing professionally, and then when it didn't happen, it was kind of a shock, right?
Yeah.
I didn't necessarily know what my next steps would be. And so went through a spell of just trying to figure myself out, figure out what connected with me. And then I had an idea. I started to really look at the people who I went to school with, those who had a hard time transitioning to quote unquote civilian life after their football playing days were done. And a lot of guys, took different routes. Some went on to be successful. Some unfortunately turned to the streets. Other people fell off the face of the earth. And so my thought process was, I wish that I would have had something that could have better prepared me for life once my football playing days were over. And so, I was doing security. I walked off post, grabbed 5 sheets of paper, wrote down all my dreams, goals, and ideas. And I came in with the idea for Respect and Honor Academy, or RH Academy for short. And so outside of doing athletic training, we really place a strong emphasis on making sure that young men are developed with their true identity, not just their athletic identity.
Yeah.
So we teach like resume building seminars, financial literacy. We take kids on college tours. We do a small business development, just really trying to make sure that they're well-rounded young people and that they know who they are outside of the sport. So when that time comes, not if, but when, it's an easy transition for them to do it.
Yeah, definitely. For those that are joining the live, I'm speaking with Coach Aaron Campbell, founder of the RH Academy, Respect and Honor Academy. Great, great program, great training program. So what made you decide to do a quarterbacks camp? Because obviously, there's other positions, but what made you kind of gravitate towards the QB position?
Yeah, so I played quarterback.
Okay.
Pretty much like my entire life. I mean, I, of course, played other things, but quarterback was my primary position. And the ability to articulate, the ability to be able to pinpoint key, discrepancies within the kid's body and then be able to help elevate his play, that was something I was lacking really on the East Coast. And so I saw that when I traveled the country and I went to California and I went down to Texas and I went to Georgia, the way that those quarterbacks were being prepared was completely different than what it was over here, in the DC, Maryland, Virginia metropolitan area. And so I really just wanted to bring expert coaching and expert teaching to this region because we have kids that are talented. They either just A, don't have the training, or B, don't have the platform for it to be seen. And so my thought process was, if I could take everything that I've learned, and then if I can continue to be a sponge, just soak up information and relay that back to these kids, then we really see a change in the dynamic.
Definitely. Now, what do you think that the disconnect is in regards to, the East Coast and metropolitan area, DC metropolitan area that you were talking about? Especially, I'm here in New York. I think it's the same thing here as well. So, what is that disconnect, and why is it so different on our side over here?
Man, because each place is known specifically for something, and I think we kind of get stereotyped into that.
Yeah.
Like if you think like Pennsylvania, they're known for like big linemen, right?
Right.
You think California, you think quarterbacks, you think speed. You think
Right.
Georgia, you think quarterbacks. You think Texas, you think huge linemen, and you think speed.
Right.
When you come to the DMV though, it's more so athletes. You know what I mean? Like this is kind of what we're viewed as, just a place
It's
that
pure
produces
athletes.
athletes.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you know, guys who can do everything, but not necessarily one thing great. And so that was the biggest thing that I saw. And because of that, you have a lot of great talent that gets overlooked just because guys don't look. It's not that they
Right.
don't exist. They just go other places for a position that's more of a hotbed, more of a hot commodity. So I think Caleb Williams, who came out of Gonzaga last year, he was the #1 quarterback in the country. He's now at Oklahoma. He did a really great job kind of bringing the spotlight over here. And now it's our job just to continue to take it even further.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. And do you think that there's still a stigma with the black quarterback? You know, it's always, you know, I'm even hearing stuff about Justin Fields right now dropping in the draft. And, you know, people talk about the fact that he's, you know, he comes from Ohio State, you know, that the quarterback situation over there is never great. So that kind of drops him down. But I always feel like in the back of my mind, how they, you know, what they're talking about is really code for like, he doesn't get the game.
Yeah.
When they say that, I really feel that they're talking about us as people that we don't think the game the way a white quarterback will think it. Like, is that something that you really think about, like even when you were playing, and as well as you coaching now?
Yeah. 100% there's still a stigma. You know, I think that it's just coded differently.
Right.
You know, instead of coming out, you know, there was once upon a time where they would say, you know, we lack the mental capacity.
Yes. Yes.
Now you're oh shoot, I'm sorry. You will hear things that's like you know, he's late to film study.
Yeah.
He doesn't grasp the playbook well. He's a one read type guy. You know,
Right.
these are all things that you start to hear, and it's really cold for the same talk.
Right.
It's unfortunate. I think that I actually got a chance to see Justin Fields up close. 2 years ago, I coached in a camp with Quincy Avery, and Justin Fields was there. And obviously, it was a small, you know, exposure to him, but he's a dynamic young man. He's
Yeah.
a straight competitor in every sense of the word. He was extremely nice. He literally spoke to every child that was there, took pictures with everybody that was there, and you could tell like this is a playmaker that's right here in front of us. And so for him to be considered arguably either the first or second best quarterback his entire life, essentially, and then to play great in the college football playoffs, to not throw a pass from his last football game to now, I don't understand why he's dropping.
Right.
You know, but I mean, Justin, the type of person that he is, all it's going to do is make him go out there and perform at a high level once he's given the opportunity. And then it's our job, you know, different coaches, trainers, people who have platforms such as yourself. We have to talk about these types of things
Absolutely.
and share awareness to it, you know, to hopefully try to break through the stigma.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you, man. You know, like I said, you know, I've seen, you know, I've watched Justin Fields in regards to film, and you know, there's certain things in regards to mechanically, I can see some people can kind of have an opinion about him, but if there's anything else that is making you second guess this guy, I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear that. You know what I'm saying? Now with the kids that you have, you know, in your camp, do you put a emphasis on watching film and studying film? Because you know that at the quarterback position, that is like, that's vital, that's key, that you have to be a film rat. Like you have to be in there all the time and studying film. Like, is that something that's really like, you know, you push really, really forward with these kids?
Yeah, man, it's a combination. You know, like film is definitely important. Understanding concepts, being able to understand coverage breakdowns. You know, what are the tendencies of one coverage compared to another one? Understanding how that relates to down and distance, where the ball is placed on the field. You know, being able to recognize different personnel shifts, the whole nine. These are all components that a quarterback needs to be able to master if he's going to really see a jump in his quarterback play and take his game to the next level. So, by all means, film is important. Your playbook is important. And then most importantly, going out to the field and being able to execute. So a heavy thing that we place an emphasis on is like dynamic movements, right? Being able to move, create space in short confined areas the game is changing. You know, defensive linemen, they can run 4.4s now. You know,
Right.
they're 6'5", they're freakish athletes. So we have to be able to survive. And so these are all the type of things that I really place a strong emphasis on.
Definitely. Now, besides footwork, if you get a kid that's, he has great footwork, he has good speed, but he doesn't have a plus arm. Does a kid like that have to do more to kind of get the eyes of scouts, of guys who are evaluating the position? Because we always hear about plus arm, plus arm, plus arm. We never really, and the guys that have average arms or whatever it is, they kind of get pushed to the back burner. Like, is that something that should be emphasized as much as they do, or it should be the entire package of a kid? Like, how he reads defenses, how his check, his skill at the position, as well as his arm strength. Obviously, is important, but should that be the number one thing that these people are looking at?
I don't think so.
Right.
Man, what type of leader are you?
Yeah.
What type of what type of example do you set for your teammates? Right. How serious do you take your job? Are you the type of person that have to hunt down and figure out why you aren't in a meeting, or are you beating me to the to the meeting room? Those are all important qualities and traits. But then, of course, are you a baller? Can you make plays? Do you win? Do you move the ball when you get on the field? Or are you the guy that when a play goes wrong, now you're making excuses and blaming it on somebody else?
Yeah.
So I think our arm strength can be improved through improved mechanics. And so that's not really a big red flag to me. There's plenty of people who couldn't throw the ball 100 yards, but were great NFL quarterbacks. And you have guys that can throw the ball 100 yards and can't hit anybody that's 10 yards away from them. Right. So, I don't think arm strength is the end all be all. It helps, don't get me wrong, but there's so many other components to being a successful quarterback that that's not the number one thing that I look at.
No, definitely, man, definitely. Now, I've been on your website a lot, and I see that you help kids with college tours and all that stuff like that. That's really, really amazing, because a lot of these kids, they come from underprivileged homes, and they don't have the ability to go out there like that and experience other tours and stuff like that. So you guys really do a great thing. Like, kind of talk about that a little bit as well.
Man, it's important, and it's hard to believe you can do something if you've never had an example.
Right.
So for a lot of our young people, a lot of them are first time college potential graduates, and so for them, just to have the opportunity to see themselves step onto a campus and just visualize them actually being a student there is amazing. Right. And so, our ability to do college tours, our ability to expose kids to things that are outside of their norm, it does wonders for their confidence. It does wonders for their self-image. They come home, their parents are excited, to hear about what it was like. And so I love to do it. It's something that we're going on our 4th year of doing. Wow. And I just look for it to get bigger and bigger.
Definitely. And, so what are the, I guess I wouldn't say what are the, like, what area of kids do you see? Like, is it more Maryland kids, Virginia, like, what I'm saying? Like, where are you getting, where's the hotbed of talent coming from? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Primarily Maryland right now, Prince George's County. That's where the bulk of my clientele is from. One of my kids just hopped on the call right now, Jaden Saray. He's a phenomenal kid, played at Wise High School, like 4-star athlete, just amazing talent on the field, but even better off the field.
Yeah.
But the bulk of my talent, the bulk of the kids I work with obviously come from Maryland because that's where I'm based at. But I get kids from all over, man. I've had guys traveling from Alabama to work with me. Wow. I've had kids from New York. I've had kids travel 7.5 hours to come up to work with me. So I'm honored. You know what I mean? Anytime a child or a parent, feels that I can add value to them, it's a blessing because it wasn't always like this. What I mean? So, to be able to see the growth in such a short amount of time is something that I'm definitely humbled by.
Yeah, definitely, man. I read that you reached out to Jordan Palmer, and that's how you kind of got started, and he invited you to go to Cali, and you were out there for like 5 days, and you were sleeping in your car. Like, people don't understand what you have to go through to be great.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's sacrifices that you have to, go through to be great. And I'm sure I'm sure you tell your kids that story, and is that something that is really important for them to understand, that sacrifice is key to getting what you want? Like,
Absolutely.
you got to put everything in it, no matter if it's guaranteed to you, if the opportunity fails or whatever, but you have to go for it. You can't expect things to just happen to you. You know what I mean?
No, it's very important. I don't know if they understand it because they're so young,
Right.
but it'll be something that once they experience adversity, or once they get, in the grit of it, it's a story hopefully they can reflect on,
Yeah.
and it'll hold more value then. It's kind of like when your parent tells you stuff when you're younger, and then you realize it when you're 22,
Right.
23, like, this is what they were talking about. It's kind of like that.
Yeah.
But nah, man, I think the biggest thing for me is I'll never demand of a child what I'm not willing myself to do.
Right.
I'll never demand for them to give 110%, and I'm not giving 110%.
Right.
I'll never tell them you have to pursue your dream, go after your dream, and I'm not doing the same thing on my end.
Right.
And so it's important to really be the example that we wish we had when we were growing up, because I
Right.
didn't have it. You know what I mean? And so for that, for them to be able to see, all right, man, I'm working hard, but dang, Coach Aaron just did this, he just did that, he just came back here. All right, he believes in me. Okay, it's no excuse for me. And that's really kind of like what stays on the forefront of my mind.
Yeah. Yeah. No, definitely, man. Like, I see you out there with the kids, man. That's really important. The fact that you're out there with them, you're doing the drills with them, you're staying on them, you're keeping them motivated. Like, it's very few and far between that I see, a young person like yourself that is really passionate about what you're doing. You know what I mean? So kudos to you, man. Shouts to you for that.
Appreciate it.
I wanted to get your opinion on the draft class, the quarterback draft class for this year.
Mm-hmm.
It's everybody's talking about it. We're draft crazy, obviously, football.
Mm-hmm.
Just kind of go through, like, I guess I'll give you my top five, and I would like to know what your top five quarterbacks are in regards to, like, what you've seen, because obviously you look at the game completely different than I look at it.
Mm-hmm.
I got Zach Wilson ranked 5. I have Justin Fields 4. I have Mac Jones 3. I have Trey Lance 2, and obviously we're gonna have Trevor Lawrence 1.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I'll talk about Zach Wilson. I just don't know what everybody sees in Zach Wilson. I think he has a strong arm.
Mm-hmm.
I think I don't know how tough he is. I don't know how mentally tough he is, because he can't, he played in the weak conference. They didn't really play heavy competition. The one time he did, he looked a little shaky. Like, what are your thoughts on Zach Wilson, and how do you rank your top 5 guys?
So my top 5, I would go at 5. I would go Mac Jones.
Okay.
At 4, I would go Zach Wilson. At 3, I would go Trey Lance. At 2, I would go Justin Fields, and at 1, I would go Trevor Lawrence.
Okay.
That'd be my top 5. Starting with, you said Zach Wilson.
Yeah.
So with Zach, I think he's a playmaker. I think he's a dynamic talent. My only concern with him would be the level of competition that he played.
Right.
And when they had a tendency to play bigger schools, he did somewhat struggle.
Yes.
Now, that doesn't mean that he's going to struggle at the next level, but, that was something that, I kind of paid attention to. And so when his team was better than a lot of the talent that he played against, obviously, you shine and you look great. But then when that's not necessarily the case, how do you handle that? And so I was watching Undisputed, I believe, and they put up his numbers against teams that had winning records, and it wasn't,
it's average.
Yeah. That'd be something that I'll pay attention to. With Mac Jones, not a large sample size on him. It's hard to evaluate Alabama quarterbacks just because they have so much talent around them. Their entire offensive line is going in the first round. All of their receivers are, could have potentially won the Heisman. They're all first-round talents. And so it's just kind of hard how much of his success was because of him compared to having a very, very strong supporting cast. Trey Lance, I like Trey Lance a lot. People have a knock on him saying, again, the level of talent because he went to North Dakota State. But if you look at his intangibles, you look at, his high IQ, I think his 2019 season, he threw 28 touchdowns and no turnovers.
0, right.
That's important. We
Yeah,
got to pay attention that he doesn't turn the ball over. He has a huge frame, and he's only going to get better, with the more coaching and more training he gets. I know he trains with Q, who's a good friend of mine, and Quincy's definitely going to have him right. So,
yeah.
I like that. Justin Fields, I could talk about Justin Fields for hours. You know what I mean? He's really I really believe in him as a player. I love how, and I guess I could say the same thing about Trevor. People don't realize these two have been successful. They've been in the national spotlight
at the highest level. Right.
For years.
Right.
And so for them to be at the highest level for this long, you've never heard anything bad, no scandals, no, stealing, no DUIs, none of that. And so, for him to handle that type of pressure and still produce, you got to tip your hat to it. So, and they pretty much do the exact same thing for Trevor Lawrence. I think the biggest thing I love about Trevor, no moment ever seems too big for him.
Right. Very level-headed.
He's cool, calm, collected at all times. I would, even if he's down by 40, he never gives you the impression that he's panicky or that they can't come back. So, that's what I would say about them.
Yeah, no, definitely, man, definitely. What were your thoughts about, the little issue that people had with Trevor Lawrence when he said that, his life is not built around football, and when I heard it, I didn't take it the way everybody else did. I took it as that this kid is well-rounded, that his family life is great, his personal life is great, that there's other things that he aspires to do after football. It doesn't mean that he's not heavy competitive in regards to wanting to win all the time, but I guess the way things are, people always have to attach something to a guy that's been relatively perfect, for his college career. So, what were your thoughts about that little snafu that he had in the media?
I at first I was somewhat taken back by it, just because it just kind of, that's not something that you typically hear, what I mean? But the more I sat and thought about it, we preach to guys, know who you are outside of this sport. And so I think for a guy to say that, he's secure in himself and that he doesn't have a chip on his shoulder and that he just wants to be the best competitor that he can be, that he's, internally motivated and driven and not so much trying to prove people wrong. There's nothing wrong with that. You know what I mean? I think that if you study his career, he's been the highest level competitor virtually since he stepped on the field. So I don't think that be in question. You know what I mean? He doesn't come from a situation, not saying he's never faced adversity, but it's he doesn't have the same upbringing that a lot of people had. So his what motivates him is different than what motivates other people. So I don't think we can bash him for that. Now, if he gets out there and, he's missing meetings and he's, not dependable, that's different. But as long as there's been no track record of him, doing anything of that nature, and he's continued to compete at the highest level, I really don't see anything wrong with it.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with you 100%, man. Now, I always look at where you go as a quarterback is very important. You can be the most talented guy, you can have the total package, but sometimes the organization that you go to doesn't allow you to, either mature, at your peak, or, just things just kind of happen. So do you feel that any one of these guys that they need they can be able to, I guess, withstand a bad organization? Trevor Lawrence is going to the Jaguars. They've, historically, they're not a good franchise. Do you think that he can be able to be the guy to be like Peyton Manning, that went to a bad franchise, and he can be able to turn that around and change the culture there? Is that a possibility?
I think so, because of the head coach that they have there. Urban Meyer, who is a winning fanatic, who's the coach's coach. You know what I mean? He literally risked his life coaching because he cares that much about it.
Right.
So I think he's going into a great situation where he's going to be able to learn from somebody who's a proven winner, somebody who, loves his game of football, and somebody who's going to take their job very serious. And I think the biggest thing that a great head coach can do is provide stability within a franchise,
Right.
within an organization. That's what Stefanski did with Cleveland. And so I had to throw that in there. But, saying that, with Urban Meyer doing that, and with the type of person that Trevor Lawrence is, where he doesn't get too high with the highs, he doesn't get too low with the lows, he
Yeah.
just comes, goes to work, I think he'll be fine.
Definitely. So if we're gonna play, I'm gonna put you in the GM chair right now, Aaron.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you want to see these guys go? Like top 5 quarterbacks, where's the ideal place for them to go in regards to coaching, weapons, offensive line? Like, where would you see them going?
I would see, of course, Trevor to Jacksonville. I would love to see Justin Fields go to San Francisco.
I think that's the best spot for him too. Yeah.
I think if Justin Fields goes to San Francisco, I think that'll be perfect for him. I think it'll be perfect for that franchise, and I see them in the Super Bowl within 2 years. Like,
Wow.
Yeah, wow. I really think, because you got to understand, like, San Francisco's really good. They had a lot of injuries.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So it's like they lost like their entire team to injuries. So all those guys come back, and now you add a dynamic quarterback as Justin Fields. Like, by all means, it can happen. I think that with his athleticism, I think Zach Wilson would do great for the Jets. I do believe that. Trey Lance I would like to see Trey in New England.
Yeah, me too.
He physically, he reminds you of Cam Newton.
Yes.
He has an extremely high IQ, so I know he can handle the offense. He can handle the playbook. And what better person to be mentored by than Cam Newton?
Right.
So I would say that, and then I would say Mac Jones to Denver.
Yeah, Denver 9.
Yeah, Denver. I think he's a upgrade to Drew Lock, and I think with they got Judy that's over there. They have a solid running game. I think that he'll be found in Denver.
Definitely. I like that. I think that's how it may play out because, Trey Lance to me, I think he's the most talented quarterback in regards to just entire package. But, I think everything else, the fact that, he didn't play in a year and they people like to overanalyze things. I think he may be the one that drops. And if he drops to New England, that's going to be something. Now, you keep mentioning the Cleveland Browns. You're a big Browns fan. Big Browns fan.
Best team in the NFL, that hard.
Listen, man, they just broke the spell, right? So how do you feel about Baker Mayfield going forward? Do you feel that he's the franchise, or do you feel that, it's still a wait and see type of situation? Because they just picked up his 5th-year option, and, contract negotiations are going to start soon. But I think they're going to hold off a little bit based on what they see this year. So, what are your thoughts about Baker Mayfield? Do you think that he is the guy, or do you think that, he may be a transitional quarterback?
Did the sun rise today? Of course he's the guy. I love him. I love Baker. He's everything we needed. Like, he literally said when he was at the combine, he said, if there's anyone who could turn that franchise around, it'd be me. And he was 100% correct. And I got to be honest, because I don't want to sound like a hypocrite. I was very uneasy at first. But then you realize he had 4 different head coaches, 2 different offensive coordinators within like a 2-year span.
Right.
So once he got some stability, he grew up right in front of our eyes. He was able to mature. He went through some adversity. He just bounced back. And I think he threw 28 touchdowns to 2 interceptions the last like 8 games of the season, 8 or 9 games. And so like the young man is a playmaker, and he's only going to get better.
Yeah, no, definitely, man. I'm a little iffy on Baker still. Like, the jury's still out for me. I want to see him come back this year and do it again. Like, if he can be able to do it again this year, I'm like, all right, cool. You got me. You got me. Now, I want to get your take on this because I am, I've talked to a lot of people about these 2 quarterbacks, and I want, from your perspective, I want to see how you feel about it. When Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen were coming out, I was telling everybody that I think Josh Allen's a better quarterback. Do you what is your comparison? Like, how do you feel about both quarterbacks, and who do you think has the bigger upside?
I, it's that's a tricky question because I don't think that there's one way to evaluate a quarterback.
Gotcha.
I think that in the past it's, oh, he has to sit in the pocket and throw. He has to be a Peyton Manning. If Peyton Manning came out in the draft this year, he wouldn't be a first rounder.
Right.
And it's like, and the only reason why I say that is because the style of play is so different. Like, you have to be able to move. And so, what saves Tom Brady is his quick decision making.
Yeah.
And so, you have to be athletic. Now, luckily Josh Allen I got a chance to work with Josh last summer in California, and he's everything that you see on TV. He can move, he can run, he can jump, he does it all. And with Lamar, same thing. I don't think that Lamar gets the credit that he deserves as a passer. He rarely ever turns the ball over. I don't think he turned the ball over at all in the red zone. You just have to look at this style of their offense. It doesn't really allow him to display his passing capabilities. The bulk of his passes go to his tight end right down the middle of the field.
Right.
So as far as who has a bigger upside, I think that Lamar will have to do what Vick had to do, which is, as he got older, learn how to just become more consistent within the pocket.
Yeah.
And once he does that, he'll be fine. With Josh, them getting Stephon Diggs really helped him out a lot. The fact that he was able to get a true receiver. Yeah. I think that with Sammy Watkins going to Baltimore, giving Lamar that threat of a true number one receiver, as long as he's able to stay healthy, I think we'll be able to see a dramatic growth in Lamar as well. So I think I'm excited to see how it turns out. But they're both outstanding playmakers. I mean, Lamar won the MVP.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean?
Won the MVP with his legs. Like, he only threw for 3,200 yards that year. But he is the most dynamic athlete I've probably seen in the NFL.
And are they winning at the end of the day?
Right.
Like, if they're winning the game, if he's moving down the field, if he's not turning the ball over, it's great. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
yeah, definitely. Now, you also work with Sam Darnold as well, right?
I had a chance to work with his trainer, Jordan Palmer.
Yeah, with his trainer,
Sam
right.
Darnold, yes.
Like, his time in New York, I feel he was just put in an unfair situation. I think, he had Adam Gase. I think he was going to have 3 head coaches in 4 years. Like, what are your thoughts about Sam? Do you think that he needs to fix certain things, or do you think that the system and the coach and the team can be able to just, kind of erase all of that doubt that people have about him? Because, when he was at SC, he turned the ball over a little bit. They always said that he was a little bit, interception heavy. Mm. But I looked at it as he takes a lot of chances that maybe he shouldn't do. And because he's such a young quarterback, he's 23 years old, turning 24 in June. Right. And he's about to be in his 4th year in the league, which says a lot. So he's still a young guy growing, and he's also learning the quarterback position at the same time. So, what are your thoughts about Sam, and do you think that he can be able to kind of like reverse people's opinion about him going to Carolina?
I think Sam is going to turn a lot of heads in Carolina. Like, Sam is a baller.
Yeah.
Playmaker. He has a strong arm. I mean, we saw the throw he made where he scrambled out the pocket, rolled left, flipped his hip, and all the way back across his field. Like, and then on top of that, he's a great young man. Like, and jokes, he's just fun to be around.
Very humble.
Very humble. Like, he's just an overall great guy. So, and then he's trained, like I say, he's trained by JP, who's, in my opinion, arguably, if not the top quarterback trainer in the world. He's number 2. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he's in the top 2. And so, with that being said, I think that Sam's going to do phenomenal in Carolina. I think he just needed a new scenery. He needs a consistent. He needs a stable coach. He needs stability within the franchise. He needs playmakers around him like anybody else. And I think that he can go out there and really showcase what he's all about.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with that. Now, Jalen Hurts.
Mm-hmm.
I like Jalen. I think Jalen has a lot of athleticism, but the one thing that I've always, really criticized him for is his lack of accuracy. Can you be able to, like, when you're a young quarterback, in the NFL, can you improve on accuracy, or do you have to just be naturally accurate and then be able to improve on that? Because I look at Cam, and Cam has always been a physical specimen, right? He's always been a physical specimen, but he's never been deathly accurate, right? And, even at Auburn, he wasn't accurate. Even the year that he won the MVP, he wasn't deathly accurate. And, now he's in his 30s, and it's like, okay, is it ever going to materialize into real accuracy? Because he can make every throw. It's just that when you need him to make every throw, it doesn't really happen. I kind of look at Jalen Hurts in the same way. Like, he has this athleticism. He can be able to do a lot of things. He has great escapability, but the accuracy may hold him back in regards to getting to that next tier. Like, what are your thoughts about that?
So accuracy 100% can be improved on. I think one of the things that helps with that is just being clear on your decision-making process, right?
Gotcha.
And so being able to process defense quick, I'm not saying he can't process defenses. I'm just saying these are things that improve accuracy, right?
Yeah.
Being able to process defenses quicker, knowing where you want the ball, being able to, pick out your key matchups. These are all things that can improve accuracy. And then, of course, just mechanics, like being able to stay consistent regardless of whether you're on platform or off platform. Whether a defender's in your face, you have to do a sudden evasive movement, get back to your spot and throw the ball. Like, these are all things that will improve with time. I think something that people forget, like the style of play that Jalen experienced in Oklahoma was completely different than the style of play that they played in Alabama.
Absolutely.
When he was in Alabama, it was very run heavy. It was dive left, dive right, play action. Remind me of the Jets. When he went to, they didn't change until Tua got there. That was the most we ever saw Alabama pass the ball.
Very true.
When Jalen got moved to Oklahoma and he was given the opportunity to air the ball out, he was able to showcase what he can do. Then he comes to the NFL the very next year. So he really hasn't had that much time. And so I think that with a supporting cast that believes in him, like, that matters. You know what I mean? Like, your head coach believing in you matters.
Right.
Your team
Right.
believing in you, the franchise believe, your teammates, like, that matters, right?
Right.
So I think that if he's in a situation where the people around him believe in him and they're not looking for a reason to take him out and they give him the opportunity to grow, it's crazy to me that a guy can play one season and they're like, oh, he doesn't belong.
Yeah.
Like, that's where we're at now. Like, he played,
right.
he didn't even start the full season. Like, like, come on, man, be realistic. So I definitely think that given the right opportunity, he continues to be mentored and coached, like, he'll be fine. Because at the end of the day, the competitor, he's a winner.
Definitely. Now, you're doing such great things with your academy, helping all these kids down there, man. Like I said, you really should be commended for that, because not a lot of people would, put in the work and have the passion. Now, if there was an opportunity that came about for you to be able to, say, work as a QB coach in the NFL, would that be something that you would entertain, or is it just you're just so focused on your academy that you don't have time to be able to kind of take away from that?
Man, I care more about helping kids figure out themselves and get to the level of life, more than I care about, coaching for an NFL team.
Right.
I'll be honest, bro, and this might sound contradictory. I love football. I love this position, but I don't do this for that.
Right.
If I'm being, and some of my kids on the call right now, so y'all gonna hear it from me, firsthand. I dangle football in front of them. I dangle football, and I give them, and I talk to them about life. And I understood quickly, if we would have just came out as a mentoring company, kids wouldn't have wanted to be a part of it.
Facts.
It was like, okay, what are they interested in? Okay, let's merge my two passions, mentoring and sports, and then let's create something that did not exist prior.
Right.
And so, like, coaching the QB position, that's cool, that's great, but what good is it if 3 years from now, we lose contact and I know nothing about you and you fell on hard, you know what I mean? Like, that doesn't matter. And it's a lot of people that are in the business for that. It's a lot of people that's in the business and they just up to make a quick dollar. I could
Yeah.
care less. Like I care about when you move on and when you graduate and when you go on and you become a father, you know, you become a husband, all these things. Did you learn something of value from being in this setting that you can apply to yourself that's going to make you a better young man?
Right. Nah, that's big time, man. That's facts. Kudos to you for that. Like, because like I said, it's we need more people like you in the you know, the inner cities with the youth, because I always looked at, I think that kids are taught to just keep looking ahead
Yeah.
instead of like appreciating the journey of what they're doing and understanding every level and understanding what they're doing and what they're accomplishing. Like, you know, a lot of kids, they get so focused on, and I guess you can be able to kind of attest to this too, and maybe you can you know, give me some insight on that.
Mhm.
That kids get to college and they're so focused on, you know, playing and, you know, putting up big numbers and getting to the next level that they forget that they've achieved so much already.
Yeah.
The fact that you got a free ride, you got a full scholarship, or you got a partial scholarship to a college that, you know, your parents can't afford or something like that. That's success.
Yeah.
That's the start of your success. And I think that if more kids are taught that, or really, you know, they discuss that with these kids, that they'll understand it more, they'll appreciate it more, and they'll really focus on the now instead of projecting 5 or 6 years out.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
No, I agree. And I think that you have to take an interest in the child.
Yeah.
Like that's like in kids, and like my all of them can will tell you, bro, like they aren't dumb. They know when a person genuinely cares about them, and they know when a person is just an opportunist or is just out there for something else. And so I think the more that you genuinely take an interest in a child and who they are as a person, the more open they are to receiving, you know, advice, and the more open they are to receiving, you know, just insight that they can then make the decision to take it and apply it or to disregard it.
That's true.
I mean, we have kids from all different walks of life. And so
Right.
it's, you know, I got kids from, you know, come from that side of the road of the train tracks, and I got other kids that come from, you know, 8-figure households.
Right.
Like,
Right.
you know, but even that child still has their own type of adversity.
Yes.
So it's like, as long as you just take a strong interest into the human being themselves, and they know, okay, this person, you know, cares about me, they really want to see me succeed, like they'll be more open to, you know, hearing insight and then just being appreciative on that journey.
Yeah. Nah, that's 100%, man. Like, you know, people don't realize that all kids want is time. They just want your time. They just want you to be able to,
That's a
just
fact.
invest in them and show that you care. Because once you show that you care, they'll be able to give you exactly what you're asking for.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? They'll be able to push through, and they'll run through brick walls for you. You know what I mean? So, you know, kudos to you. Like I said, you know, I keep giving you flowers, but, you know, shouts to you, man, because, you know, that's really, really important, man. And, you know, what you guys are doing over there is groundbreaking. Like I said, I keep going back to your website. I keep watching. I keep, you know, looking at tutorials or testimonials and stuff. And, you know, these kids are well-rounded. You know, what you've done with them, you've created well-rounded individuals as well as athletes. And that's, I think the first part of that is the most important part, not the athlete part, the individual.
That's a
So,
fact.
you know, that's definitely really, really important, man. So, you know, before I let you get out of here, man, I like to play a little rapid fire with my guests.
All right.
So, you know, I'm just gonna spit out some names, and you tell me who's better, and then we move on. You know what I mean? So, Peyton Manning or Tom Brady?
I'm gonna go Tom Brady.
Okay,
I'm gonna go
Tom. Let's see.
I go Tom.
Drew Brees or Dan Marino?
So that's hard. Because so people in the call, they probably like Drew Brees easy, but people don't understand what Dan Marino did.
Right.
That did not pass the ball, and where you could tackle receivers 60 yards down the field.
Exactly.
However, I didn't grow up watching Dan Marino. You know what I mean? So I have to appreciate Drew Brees.
Yeah.
But so I'll say Drew Brees just because I got to see him. But
okay.
But Dan Marino definitely was the truth.
That's fair. That's fair. Let's see. Cam Newton or Mike Vick?
Ooh. Oh.
Two different styles. One is
Yeah.
a little bit more physical, but you know.
I'm gonna say, dang, that's tough. That's tough because without Mike Vick, you wouldn't have a lot of QBs today.
Yes.
You got to pay homage to that. You pay homage to that. But Cam has won at every level.
Yeah.
He was the number one player coming out of high school. He went to Florida, got kicked out. Went to JUCO. Was the number one JUCO player. Won a championship there. Went to
Auburn.
Heisman Trophy, national champion. Came to the NFL. Was an MVP. Went to the Super Bowl. Like Cam is very great, but because of like OG status, I'm gonna go ahead and give it to Mike Vick.
Okay. Let's see. I'm gonna hit you with a tough one right now. Hold on. Better quarterback, Donovan McNabb, or I'm gonna give you somebody comparable. Dante Culpepper.
Ooh. I'm gonna go with McNabb.
That's good.
And the reason I'm going to go with McNabb is because kids probably like, who's Dante Culpepper?
Look him up, y'all.
I'm gonna go with McNabb because McNabb had more types of throws in his arsenal.
Yeah.
If you look at Culpepper, and it's not Culpepper's fault, he had Chris Carter, he had Randy Moss, but everything was like down the field vertical. Like think about Jameis in Tampa Bay, where all they did was bombs.
Right.
Whereas McNabb, he could throw the deep ball, he could throw the intermediate, the intermediate route underneath as well. So I go McNabb. And he had the Super Bowl, almost won.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put you on the spot right here. I'm gonna put you on the spot right here. Better quarterback, Carson Palmer or Jordan Palmer?
Oh man, both great. Both great. Both amazing.
That's fair, man. That's fair. I'll take that.
They're both amazing, man. Shout out David.
But listen, man, Coach, it was a pleasure for you coming on the show, man. I appreciate you, man. Thank you for your time. Keep inspiring, keep doing what you're doing with these kids, man. Like, you're an inspiration, you're a hero. Trust me. Like, what you're doing, we need to see around the country. You know what I'm saying? Around the country in different areas. So, keep doing what you're doing, keep inspiring.
Man, thank you, man, and just thank you for having me on. I appreciate it. Keep doing what you're doing, bro. We need let's talk real. We need more black faces in media.
Yes, sir.
And we gotta be able to control the narrative, because the narrative was in other people's mouths, and now it's time to be in our mouths. And so, I definitely commend you on that, man. Keep using your platform. Keep talking about topics that need to be talked about.
Yes, sir.
And don't stop till you make it to the top, bro. And anything we can do to help and support and collab in the future, the whole nine, I'm literally a phone call away.
All right, man. I appreciate you, man. I definitely appreciate it. And we'll talk.
All right, brother.
All right, man.
All right, peace out.
Later. Yeah, that was Coach Aaron. Great dude, man. What he's doing in the DC metropolitan area is just nothing short of amazing, man. What he's doing with these kids. They love him. He loves them. I appreciate that. I love seeing what's going on over there. So, Barry Grant Jr., All Even Podcast, Special Edition Creators Interview. I'll see you guys next week.